Hi, this is Walter Zumrock with the Blank Page Muse and iBreak for Stamps design team, and I'm here to discuss with you today a new product offering from Blank Page Muse. It's a digital download kit that is available on their website. You download the files and print them out at home, and this particular one is called Fall Teal Tags. It has some great components to it. You get a sheet of tags that has this very old-looking paper that's kind of layered with some other types of paper. You get these older tags that have a lot of nice grunge on them and in multiple sizes. And then you also get these really pretty floral tags that you can either use as tags, or you can also cut them out and combine them because the images line up to create a card if you didn't want to use them for tags. You also get multiple pages of this really pretty paper that each of the pages has light and dark teals, kind of a light and dark honeyish gold type of color, some tans going throughout. The paper really screams fall. So what you do is you download the files when you purchase them and you print them out with your printer at home. I printed them out on 65-pound white cardstock. I did also print a couple of pages out on just standard printer paper that you would use, copy paper, if you will. I personally prefer the 65-pound cardstock because it's sturdier, easier for cutting out. You don't have to worry about it tearing or ripping, really. And what I also like is that if you're putting this behind a color, another color of cardstock, it's not going to, that other color is not going to show through, but it could with just the regular copy paper. So the project that I'm sharing with you today is a card that I made using this kit. So let's get started. For this card, I'm going to use part of this piece of paper that is a beautiful floral print full of light and dark teals, some nice golden honey tan colors, some lighter tans. Really, it screams fall to me. So those colors are great, and we're coming into that time of the year. I'm also going to use one of the tags. I started to fussy cut it out as part of the background for the card. And I'm also going to be using this set of clear stamps that Blank Page Muse offers. It's called Special Day Stamps Birthday Hugs. It was designed by Pam Bray. In particular, I'm going to use this floral stamp, the butterflies, and the sentiment, have a wonderful day filled with happiness. So I cut my tag out that I'm going to use as the background to stamp on. I also cut a 4x6 piece of the floral paper out that I'm going to use for a background on the card base. And I created a 5x7-inch card base made out of this craft or tannish colored paper. I'm going to end up centering the 4x6 within the 5x7 so that there's a 1/2 inch going around as a border. And I'm going to first use this deckled edge die. I believe it's from Hero Arts. Really love it. I love the deckled edge look. And I'm going to cut that out so that what I'll end up doing is putting, once the hole is there, the tag behind it so that it is centered within the front panel of the card. I centered my die the way I want, where I want it to be. It doesn't have to be centered, I just prefer that. I put it down onto the paper with some Post-it tape to keep it in place as I run it through my die cutting machine. And as you can see, my die cutting plates are pretty well worn and loved. They're the original that came with it, and I use it quite often. So we're going to put that through the machine to get that cut out. And the nice thing is, now that when I take it out, the paper's not going to go flying away on me. I can release the Post-it tape, take off the die. So this is the piece I'm going to use on my card as like a frame. And don't throw this out, because you can use this scrap in another creation at a later time. Just to give you a preview, as you can see, that's going to fit that tag perfectly, and we'll have it sitting behind so that the floral paper acts as a frame. So next we're going to move on to stamping. So I have my tag secured down onto my stamping platform with some Post-it tape, and I've arranged the stamps I'm going to use the way I'd like to have them. So I'm going to be all set to start stamping. In terms of colors, I want to obviously stay within the color theme of the paper that's going to be around it. And so I'm going to use some Tim Holtz Distress Ink Walnut Stain for the sentiment so that that's a nice dark color. And I'm going to use Vintage Photo for the floral because I just want like the silhouette of the floral, and I thought that the brown would look really nice. A lighter brown would look nice with this color scheme. And I'm going to use some orange ink, a lighter orange, for the butterflies. So I finished stamping. I really like the way it turned out with the darker writing up at the top with that walnut stain ink, the much lighter brown silhouette of the floral coming from the Vintage Photo. And then for the butterflies, I wanted a lighter orange, almost like a yellowy orange, so I went with the Alt New Chamomile Crisp dye ink. I think it's really pretty, and we're going to go ahead and get it set into the frame. That'll be the next steps that I take you through. And it's going to look really pretty against the backdrop of that floral paper, and then with the card base itself. I like to add dimension into the cards that I make, and an easy way to do that is by using some foam tape strips. You can use, like, the rolls that are, wider and cut it down to size. I like these strips because they're pre-cut. They make it easy to work with. So I ran some of the strips as close to I could to the border, because what you don't want to be able to do is see the white coming through on the other side. So I ran them going around the border of the deckled edge cutout. And then I just put them around the card itself. I always add in some extra just for stability, so that if it gets pressed down, it's not gonna completely mess up the look. So I'm now going to go ahead and get that centered in there and resting on that tape, and then take the rest off and put it onto the card. So I have the tag centered. I really like the way it looks. Another tip for adding some depth is you can run some color along the edge of the paper. And you can do that also if you want to add like some vintage looks or antiquing to it, but you can also just run a little bit of color along the edge, and it's just going to help it stand out when it's against the backdrop of that darker cardstock on the base. So you can just go right around a couple of times, just get a little bit of color going around the sides, and it's going to look really nice and make it pop even more. Now we're going to take the card base, and I know that I'd like it centered, just my personal preference. So using the lineup of the lines, we know that about 2 lines is half an inch, because each square is an inch. So if I go 2 over, you can see there's going to be 2 over on the other side. I am 2 up, and that should mean 2 up on the top. May not be perfect, but it's close enough. And that's the thing, when making a card, it doesn't have to look picture perfect. The reason being, you don't want it to look mass produced. You want the recipient to know that you created this for them, that it's handmade, and that you put a lot of love into it. And I think that looks pretty darn good. Thanks for joining me today on learning about these new digital printouts that are coming out from Blank Page Muse, and for walking through the creative process with me. Look forward to seeing you again. Until then, be well.